All right, first and foremost, give all praise to you, how about Shemi al Shabbat. Sincere greeting to all the brothers and sisters scattered across these four corners, teaching this word with sincerity and charity, growing within the walk, growing within the faith, and continuing, man, not just being hearers of the word, but doers. All right, but doers. What I wanted to speak to you about, we just did a class, just finished up class of Keys to the Kingdom series, dealing with faith, faith being essential key to the kingdom. And a couple passages stood out. A couple passages jumped off the page today, and I just wanted the spirit just jumped on me, cut the camera on, give a little synopsis on a few of these passages. What I want to deal with is Mark chapter 4 and verse 35. A lot of us understand and are very familiar with this story, but it's still a little meat on the bones that I think that we don't really go over, that we leave. You know how you had that chicken bone? You know how you had that joker that eat them wings and they be leaving that meat on there, man, leaving the meat on that drumhead or in between them flats. You could tell I'm hungry. Let me hurry up and get this thing done. Mark chapter 4, verse 35. And the same day when evening was come. How can it have, if evening is a new day, how can it be the same day when evening has come? But that is a whole nother topic, and we'll continue on. And the same day when evening was come, he saith unto them, let us pass over unto the other side. And when they had sent away the multitude, and took him even as he was in the ship, and there were also with him other little ships. And there arose a great storm of wind, and there were waves beat into the ship, and so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, asleep on a pillow, and they awake him and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? And he arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are you so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? How is it that you have no faith? You are disciples, you are students, I have hand selected you. How is it from this point, is all you've seen, that you get on this boat and have no faith? And it wasn't that they have absolutely no faith. It's just in that moment they showed no faith. They didn't show they showed no faith. And for the most part, it's because they grew fearful. All right, and we're gonna grow fearful in certain situations. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get anxiety before making certain decisions. You know what I'm saying? Life-changing decisions may make us fearful, may get this anxiety, and then you may have some diverse temptations that may send you into depression. But I just want to deal with that may be a sign of a lack of faith. You know what I'm saying? That may be a sign of a lack of faith. And faith, basically I want to bring out was faith is levels to it. There's a base level faith. There's a faith that the demons and the devils even have. All right, that they believe. Okay, but then there's a perfected faith. There's a faith that'll give you that eternal life, that'll get you that crown of righteousness. All right, and to get that faith, we're gonna have to fight the good fight of faith. All right, we're gonna have to go the whole 12 rounds. We're gonna have to endure. We're gonna have to go through several temptations, diverse temptations, trials, tribulations. We're gonna have to go through something, several storms, in order to get that faith perfected. All right, so don't be down on yourself if you go into a situation and you do find that you have some kind of anxiety about stepping into a next chapter, because a lot of times we want to be comfortable. Okay, a lot of times we want to be comfortable, and the Most High may be pulling us some way, or he may be stripping us from certain things to put us through this trial and this tribulation, and we're asking like, what did I do wrong, and what's going on, and that whole nine, and we spiral into, again, like I said, spiral into depression and end up growing faint and growing weary within this walk, and then lose your way. All right, and then fall out of this thing. So to counter that, I want to deal with verse 36. And when they had sent away the multitude, all right, they had sent away the multitude, they took him even as he was in the ship, and there were also with him other little ships. All right, so they sent away the multitude. They are shying people away, man. Y'all go ahead. Y'all go on back to where y'all need to go. Head on back in. Evening is come. You know what I'm saying? Pack that thing on up. But there were people that still was like, nah, you're not going to just send me away. I'm going to follow you. All right, you done went in the ship. We finna get into these other smaller ships. All right, to follow the Messiah. We want more. We're hungry and thirsting after righteousness. All right, so they go out there in smaller vessels. They out there in smaller ships. All right, so a lot of times when we thinking that we the only one going through this darn temptation, and we thinking that the Most High just picking on them, understand that everybody has thorns. Understand that everybody's going through something, man. You know what I'm saying? You got brothers and sisters share every little trial and tribulation that they going through, man, filled with anxiety. And that's a show of a lack of faith. You know what I'm saying? Where every little thing just sends you into this great depression, and your faith needs to be built up. And we're going to go through a couple passages. We're going to see that Paul was even concerned for the Thessalonians. You know what I'm saying? Because he wasn't there with them long. He wasn't there with them long to build them up, to strengthen them, to establish their faith. So he worried once those tribulations and them sufferings began to come upon them, that he wanted to check up. He sent Timothy, hey man, go check up on these folks, man. I need a report. How's their faith? All right, so understand that you're not the only one. All right, you're not the only one in that storm, and there's people that are in that storm that are actually in even smaller ships. I was giving this example too of this woman at Quick Trip that I always see that she sleeps out here on this bench. Fairly young sister, sleeps out there on the bench. It's no limbs broken, nothing wrong with her. But it seems she's complacent with that situation. She's gotten complacent with that base level. And this is why it's important to know how to abase and abound. But she, when it rains, she comes in, and be under the roof. And then outside of that, she will sleep on this bench. And we also went over the story of the blind beggar. All right, the blind beggar who cried out unto the Messiah when he heard the uproar, heard the tumult. He wanted to know what was going on. They say, well, the Messiah is here, the Son of David is here. And he cried out, have mercy on me, Yahweh. They tried to calm him down, like, nah, you ain't finna calm me down. Have mercy on me, Yahweh. And started yelling even louder. All right, start yelling even louder. And he of course he eventually gets healed. Yahweh comes in, he eventually gets healed, says your faith healed you, and that individual goes on to follow Yahweh and be a great testimony throughout the ministry. Now this sister here that's sleeping on this bench, she's not blind. See? And that beggar might have been in that situation because of his condition, because he was blind. But she's not blind. So she may be thinking that, she done caught a bad break. Could have been in a situation where a family raped her or did something to her to throw her out on the streets. And she just entered her pity and into this deep sorrow. And you'll understand, man, quickly when you're dealing with the homeless, man, homelessness is not an isolated situation. There are many people from all walks of life who have experienced homelessness, who have experienced, being down and out with absolutely nothing. But very few do that and be blind. Okay, and do that and be blind. So that's why we do need these testimonies within the text, all right? Because some people that are in there that are in smaller ships, same storm, even a smaller ship. Okay, and I'm gonna give you this last example. Then we're gonna go into a couple more precepts. But when I was growing up, I grew up in the boys' club, avid attendee at the boys' club. Okay, I felt I was dealt a bad hand. I wasn't complaining about the hand, but I felt I was dealt a bad hand. And I was going to have to work a lot harder. I already had that, and I still have that mindset where I would have to work a lot harder than most due to the hand that was dealt. People will take that differently. Certain situations in life, you'll have a person that'll take it. I seen a pastor give an example of two brothers who were drunk. You know what I'm saying? Two brothers, Shalakia, two brothers who were raised by a father who was a drunk. And the father used to abuse him and abuse the mother and so forth. And one of the brothers grew up, and he go out and he's successful and so forth, and he goes out and he doesn't drink. All right, he doesn't drink. And they asked him, well, listen, man, why, you know what I'm saying, why you don't drink, man? Like, what's the problem, man? You know what I'm saying? You got something to drink about. You're celebrating. Why you got to kill the party and not you just up here drinking club soda? And he said, well, my father was a drunk. You know what I'm saying? So I ain't finna drink. But then the other brother, you know what I'm saying, he's down and out. He working mediocre jobs and getting fired off and on. And he's an alcoholic. And they asked him, well, yeah, his friends and people asked him, like, why are you an alcoholic? And he said, well, it's because my father was an alcoholic. And so people gonna take certain things, they're gonna look at certain things at different perspectives. But I looked at the hand that I was dealt, like, you know what, I'm probably the only one dealing with this foolishness. So I'm probably gonna have to work a little harder than my counterparts. And so the Boys Club had this thing called the Youth of the Year. Okay, and this Youth of the Year was an individual who, you know, had good character, was kind of a mentor, a good example. Pretty much you want to be your poster boy for your particular organization, for your particular club. And did all of this through some kind of adversity, through some kind of tribulation, especially at home, whether it been raised in a foster home or you know, you raising the kids on your own, or you know what I'm saying, doing something, you know, this, or parents on drugs, but you overcame them things and you still end up becoming a good young adult, you know what I'm saying, something, a productive citizen, a productive citizen of society. Like you know what I'm saying, you got a good future, look like you got a good future. And so you go and give your testimony, they ask you certain questions, and then they ask you for your club, and then eventually you go on to city level. Once you win city level, you go on to the state level, okay? And in the city level, you're getting interviewed by pretty much all the riches, all the big donors within the club, because this is what you are. You're like the fruit of that club. They're showing you, like, yeah, we are changing lives. You know what I'm saying? We are changing lives here. So you're giving these interviews in front of all the rich, all the wealthy people within that city. And then you go to the state level, and then it's the same thing, but just statewide, right? And the winner of this gets a $50,000 scholarship with Oprah. And so I'm still, you know, after winning the city, you're like, man, you know what? I might have had a, you know what I'm saying? I ain't really think my situation was that bad, but I'm like, wait a minute, man. Like, you know, for me to win the city, I'm like, man, I must have been pretty tough then. But, you know, there's a winner every year, so it ain't like, you know, understood that also. And I understood the person. I knew the people who won in prior years, and I was like, damn, I wonder what their testimony was. But anyway, when you get to the state level, whoever wins that, they do announce what they had to actually go through. And it was a female, it was a sister that won this time, that was a little younger than me, and had the story made me cry. You know, I'm thinking I would have dealt a bad hand, but the story ended up making me darn cry. Everybody ended up crying, thinking about what she actually overcome, her and her siblings, to, you know what I'm saying, to continue to go to that club. And you know, nobody argued with her winning. Like, we was even talking about it when we was driving back to Columbus. Like, wait a minute, man, I was, you know, whew, she went through it. And again, man, you know, just different, you know, same storm, but different vessels, man. People go through certain things, and they're probably going through what you're going through, but even in a worse condition, even in a worse shelter, worse refuge, and still have, you know what I'm saying, faith to continue on, still endure. And we have to have that in our faith. We have to understand that these trials and these tribulations in our spiritual walk will increase our faith, okay? Just like that blind beggar, once he got healed, it's nothing that was going to take that blind beggar away from the Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. He done went through certain things as a blind man. Once he got his sight back, there was nothing that Yahushua could tell him that he would not do. He had a faith unto death. And so our faith has to grow into that. Our faith will have to grow into that. You may, and just because you have some anxiety about certain situations, it may be some things that come that you grow fearful about. But again, this faith has to grow. It just has to grow. You know what I'm saying? I've grown into anxiety, certain decisions I have to make. And I do realize that, you know what, that may be a sign of, you know, where my faith does need to grow. So I do need to go ahead and go into this test. I do. It even assures me more that, yeah, you know what, you need to do this. You need to do this because I felt that little anxiety there. You know what I'm saying? That little second, just like jumping off a cliff, jumping off one of them high cliffs or jumping off a high dive at the pool. And you went up there and you just had that little, man, you know, when you start looking down and calculating everything. You know what I'm saying? You can't do that spiritually. And when you do that spiritually, it's not that you can't do it. It's just a sign of a lack of faith. It's a sign that faith needs to increase on. All right, we see that even in the disciples asked them how many times we have to forgive somebody. He said, if the brothers trespass against you 7 times and he repents, you got to forgive him 7 times. And then, you know, so he said, hey, man, you know, increase my faith. So we know that faith can be increased. But let's go to James 1. James 1:1. You ain't the only one going through it, brother. You ain't the only one going through it, sister. There's a lot of people in them same kind of relationships. You're in a lot of people in that same kind of predicament. A lot of people in that same financial situation. All right, you can't grow weary. James 1:1. All right, James, a servant of God and of the Lord Yahushua, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into divers temptations. Count it all joy, not some of it, all right, not a piece of it, not the good part of it, not the bad part, all of it. When you fall into divers temptation, when you fall into various trials, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience, but let patience have her perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing, that you may be perfect and complete and lacking nothing. All right, so we can lack a little faith. You want to make sure that those trials, they're going to work your patience, and that patience, let that patience perfect you, where you can be entire, complete, and lacking. All right, wanting nothing. Okay, you are entire, you are complete. But count it all joy. Let's look at James 2:21 real quick. Jump over a chapter. Verse 21. Was not Abraham our father justified by works, when he had offered Isaac his son upon the altar? Seest thou how faith worked with works, and by works was faith made perfect? All right, so you like with and by works was faith made perfect, and he puts this in a form of a question, but almost being facetious. You know what I'm saying? Almost like, you know what I'm saying? And by faith was faith made perfect. Like, don't you understand that? All right, was it not made perfect? You see what I'm saying? So for it to be made perfect, it had to go through that trial. After he offered his son, upon that altar, and that goat came up out of that thistle and was tied with them thorns around him. That sealed, his faith was perfected. He not straying. He's unwrapping his son and taking the ties off his son. Like, he's not straying from that point, but he had to do the works. He had to go through that trial. He had to be tested to the point of you finna lose his son. Like, what kind of trial are you going through? His trial was, man, him finna sacrifice his son. Smaller vessels. Let's look at 1 Thessalonians. And we'll finish out with this. 1 Thessalonians Salakia. 1 in 1 Thessalonians 3, rather. First Thessalonians chapter 3, in verse 10. Really 1 through 13. But for time purpose, we're just going to do 10. We may jump over to 4. It says, night and day praying exceedingly. Verses start at verse 9. For what thanks can we render to God again for you, for all the joy wherewith we joy for your sakes before God, night and day praying exceedingly, that we might see your face, and might perfect that which is lacking in your faith. All right? That we may perfect that which is lacking in your faith. We got to understand that Paul's writing this way. He sent Timothy out to Thessalonica because he didn't spend a lot of time there. He wasn't able to establish their faith, strengthen their faith like he wanted to. So when they start suffering, when they start going through certain things, he got worried. You know what I'm saying? He got worried. And so even him worrying about, you know what I'm saying, what he had established, and the seed that he planted, you understand that the Most High is going, you know what I'm saying, give that thing the increase. He still kind of had some kind of anxiety and was sent Timothy to say, you know what, let me go check on these folks and get a good report. And we see this in verse 4. For verily, when we were with you, we told you before that we should suffer tribulation, even as it came to pass, and ye know. For this cause, when I could no longer forbear, I sent to know your faith. He said, when I could no longer forbear, I'm sitting here, I gotta know. You know what I'm saying? These people grow weary. How is their faith? Because he didn't spend a lot of time there. And so he sent Timothy out there to get that good report. And still he wants to know their faith, but still later on you see in verse 10 where he's, you know what I'm saying, he's prayerful day and night that he can, you know what I'm saying, see their faith, see their face again, so that he can strengthen their faith, you know what I'm saying, by going through just teaching them more of this word, teaching them more of the gospel, and going through certain things with them, sending them through the furnace, you know what I'm saying, proving them, testing them. And we all got to go through it. And I just don't want brothers and sisters to think that they are going through some isolated situation, that the loss of whoever they done lost, or they're grieving over, that, you know what I'm saying, there are people going through those same situations, even with smaller vessels, all right, even with less, okay, even with, you might have lost a parent, they lost both, they never had no parents, they were thrown in a dumpster when they was born, all right, you're mourning your situation, you're mourning being raised by a crackhead, and these folks were born on crack, all right, they were born on crack and was thrown in a dumpster. So, we like I say, everybody has thorns. Everybody's going through something. You just look at your brothers and sisters. They are enduring. They may have a smile on their face. These elders may teach these great lessons. Their face may be glowing, but that is because they've been proven through this furnace. They are going through something, but it's just their faith does not let that boat rock too much. They're not fearful. They don't have that anxiety, and that's what's going to allow them to continue to do the work no matter what. It's not going to be no complaining. It ain't going to be, oh, my knees hurt, or oh, I got to do this for that, and it's going to allow them to continue to do this work, and to continue to grow, and hopefully I pray that everybody has some form of elder, some great leader amongst them that has a great level of faith, that has that salvational faith, that can be that example for the congregation, for the body. You know what I'm saying? That can be that example for the body. But again, with that, everybody has temptation. Some of us in smaller vessels. I hope this thing was edifying to the body. With that, I'm gonna say shalom.